Hi, and welcome back to Purge Reviews. We're counting down the top 100 games of all time. Today's video is going to be 40 through 31. We're going to see a very wide range of games here. The games are going to get a little bit heavier. I do like heavy Euros, so we're going to see the games kind of get heavier and heavier here, but you're going to be surprised by kind of what you see. Now, before we jump in, I want to tell you that we're pretty close to 500 subscribers right now. We're trying to reach up to 700. When we get there, we're going to give away a copy of Manhattan Project Chain Reaction Deluxe Edition, brand new in shrink. Bought this with my own money to give away on the channel, and I'm really excited to give it away. It's a really good game. I plan on doing a review of it soon. I've had one in the can for a while, just haven't released it. But let's jump right into why we're here today. Number 40, Manhattan Project. Love this game. And I have a great story that comes along with this game. A friend of mine, Matthew, and Pedro were playing this at Dice Tower. It was really late at night. We all knew the game. We were jumping into and playing it. And in this game, you play your worker to the main board, and you can play as many workers you want to your own board, and you kind of do your own thing for most purposes. So we were just rocking and rolling. We'd play one, do our little thing with all of our workers down here on our thing, and by the time we were done, we look up, it's our turn again. Okay, boom! And we were rocking, man. I tell you, we played this game probably in 20-25 minutes. And this is like an hour-long game, right? We just had a great time with it. Manhattan Project. It is so fun. The theme is that you're trying to be the first one to build an atomic bomb. Kind of sad. But it's a great worker placement with 3 different types of workers, and you're just busting it through. Manhattan Project. If you like worker placements and you want something a little bit on the light, medium side, this could be a great one for you. 39 is Village. Now, I give this one a little bit of a head over My Village because it takes less table space. You're drawing cubes from a bag instead of all the card play. I've played Village a lot more. Love this game. Stronghold brought this out. Fantastic, wonderful. I mean, this is a solid Euro that everybody needs to have. If you haven't played Village and you want like a medium to medium heavy Euro, this is it. It's fun. You're placing these workers, they're dying off, you're making hard decisions about which ones die because it's victory points, you need these guys to do things. Phenomenal. Love Village. 38 is Resistance, but particularly Avalon. Now, this is the one that I've played the most. There's kind of the Resistance, which has like Matrixy kind of Netrunner type theme to it, maybe. And this is the one that has like Merlin and Avalon. I like this one a lot. Now, this one has just the right one box. That's all the rules I like. It's got the extra rules with Merlin and some of the guys where the bad guys don't know who everybody is, and I just really like it. Now, I'm told that the Resistance has included all the rules of Avalon and more now. That may be the case. I'm just not as familiar with it. I like what comes in this box. I like it a lot. The theme really isn't that tech theme. I like this one better. For me, this is one of the best social deduction games. I can teach this to anybody. I can play it nearly anywhere if I have enough players. Most people, except for you, Dylan, if you're watching this, Dylan hates this game. But everybody else I've played it with has at least got it. They understood what's going on. If I don't have time for Battlestar Galactica, this is the game that I'll bring. 37, Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Now, this is Suburbia 1.5, all right? So instead of building a city, we're building a castle. And this castle can get really crazy. Now, this one is probably updated and upgraded Suburbia. You likely don't need both. And if you really like the city thing, maybe go with Suburbia. It's a fantastic and fine game. It has all the expansions. But Mad King Ludwig is really good. I put it a little bit above. I wouldn't read too much into that. I just happen to like this one a lot better. And I play a lot more 2-player with this. Number 36 is Zombicide. I really like Zombicide. Now, let me be honest with you. I've played it multiplayer, but I really like it as a solo game. I've heard the Black Plague is better. I have it. I have a Kickstarter video up of the unboxing of that, but I haven't played it yet. So I'm going to stick with the original Zombicide. And you can put the sequels and all the extra characters, and they can bundle all that in, because that variety is what adds to it. I love having Burt Reynolds and the guy from Big Bang Theory going through it. And they're parodies of the celebrities, if you will. But super fun. You can put Hannibal Lecter in this game. And you just have the normal people. It's not a rules-heavy game. You're running around, you're trying to do a scenario, you're killing some zombies. It's not to be taken too seriously, but man, I got my zombies and characters all painted up. It looks fantastic on the board. I've always thought about having a board just centered to this game and getting some of those miniature type buildings and kind of playing it all out. I'd really like to do that. I have the space for it. I just got to kind of set it up and do it. This is the game that I would do it for. It's not the greatest game in the world. I mean, it's really high. I mean, it's 36, and I probably like it more than that. If you would ask me, it'd probably be a top 20 game, top 10 game to me. But when you kind of put them in here, you know, I don't play it as much. Probably because it has so much stuff. It's really hard to pull it out and get to it, but I like it a lot. Number 35 is Battlestar Galactica. Now, this is what is probably falling a little bit due to the length that it takes to play it. When it comes down to it, it's just, I want everybody to hurry. Hurry. I feel like if you get it under 2 hours, it's a great game. Hour and a half, it's a wonderful game. When you start getting over the 2 hour mark or at the 2 hour mark, it drags a little bit. Because it is kind of the same thing over and over. Now, there's a lot of expansions you can throw in. I don't have as much experience with all the expansions, but they do add some variety to the game. But the base game is really good, especially if everybody kind of knows the rules, or at least can digest them even the first time. The rules are not complicated, and they kind of get into it and play. You don't have to watch the show to understand it, but it will increase your appreciation of the game. Battlestar Galactica is wonderful. I understand that's out of vogue now. People are kind of moving on. Throw all that out the window. This is a game you got to play. And if you don't like it, I don't say this often. If you don't like a game, you don't have to play it again. This is one of those games I'm telling you, stick with it with the right crew, with the right people you're playing with. This can be an utter blast if your name isn't Dylan Nichols. He does not like social deduction games. But for the rest of the world, and if you like social deduction at all, and you kind of like the show or the space theme, stick with this one. It's worth it. And I don't say that heavily. If you don't like this game, so be it. And I would say about every game. What's about the Gallerist? If you don't like the Gallerist, then you don't like it. If you don't like Caverna, you don't like it. But this is one of those games that just with the right group and you kind of know what's going on, and you know the rules, you seem to appreciate it with more play. So give this one a try. Number 34 is a newer game for me. I've had it for a while, just played it, but I played it a lot lately. Is Tzolk'in, the Mayan Calendar. This thing with these gears that move, and it's a worker placement where you can do one of two things. Let me try that again. One of two things. You can either place as many workers as you want or take off as many workers off the board. Now, Manhattan Project uses this, but what this game does differently is the longer they stay on the board, these gears will move. There's a center gear that moves all the other gears on the board. And the longer you keep them on the board, theoretically, the stronger ability they will have when you take them off, because you only get the power or utilize the action when you take them off the board. And just those gears, that whole idea of like, oh my gosh, do I want to take these people off, thus giving up when I put people on next turn, and there's a limited amount of turns, I won't have those to put out. You also don't have to pay to put them out. So, but they're going to be stronger, and I really need to just that idea is magnificent. It leads to something that sounds so simple, leads to so many good decisions. That's Tzolk'in. Number 33 is Lagrange. This is when I need to get to the table a lot more. This is one that if I don't get it to the table, probably will fall. And I questioned whether putting it this high, but I like the game the few times that I've played it this much. It's so hard to teach because so many of the actions are interconnected, and one card can do 5-6 different things. And it makes it so overwhelming to teach it. I don't get to the table very often. I need to get to the table with people who know how to play, or at least are willing to grind through it and learn it, because it is a heavy, heavy Euro. It's wonderful. Everything in it isn't necessarily intuitive. It's not like an abstract where you're just doing things to do things to make the game work. It all works within the use of but the cards, and there's so much going on. It's very heavy. If you're a light gamer, need not apply. I mean, you want to learn how to play this game. And your first game is going to be just learning the mechanics. Just learning what I'm doing in a turn. Hopefully by the end, you got it. The rest of the place is about getting better at the game. And I love that about Lagrange. Now, 32 is Brew Crafters. Brew Crafters is one of my favorite games, and I'm so shocked that it's so low in this. It's a worker placement, but you have very, very limited workers. You have a few actions you can do in a turn, let alone a game. The game is beautiful. There's so much beer in this game. The variety is wonderful. So many different recipes you can build, and you're doing different things. I mean, different workers in the game, and they're going to work differently together. And I played this game 3 or 4 times where I was like, you know what? I'm not using that strategy. I'm going to try to build these buildings, and I did really well. It just seems like it's really well balanced. Now, it's not one of those games where we're all going to do well. Every time you play, oh, you did one other thing, and we played 2 hours, and you did one other thing, and like Power Grid, and oh, you ended up winning. No, not at all. Your decisions matter, and the production of the beer and those turns that it takes to get it out the door, and really understanding the synergy between the people you hire and the process of making the beer and shortening that process. You know, some of the buildings they give you, and you want to make sure that your company, your beer crafting company, is in sync with each other. If this gives you extra hops, you want to make sure you're a hops machine, and you want to make sure you can process that hops. So fantastic, Brew Crafters. Number 31, the last one on the list today, is Francis Drake. Now, I love historical games like this. They just appeal to me. I like learning about these historical characters, Francis Drake in this case. And I like learning about his struggle and what some of the things he would do. Now, they're all abstracted. They're board games. And this isn't like the Underground Railroad that I talked about previously, which is dripping in history. But history is here. And so this really has 2 parts, like almost like 2 games in one, if you will. The first part is just going across a track. And you want to go, like a Gizia that I talked about earlier, you want to go down this track because the good stuff is down there. But when you pass something up, you can't go back on it. So once you pass something up, it's gone. So you have a tendency to go, okay, I'll go here, 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 and get a whole bunch of stuff. The problem is the other workers are coming through and getting the good stuff. So, for example, you might have a space that gives you 3 guns if you're first and 2 guns if you're second, for example. Well, you want to be first, you're going to get those 3 guns. But if you do, you're going to miss out on getting these supplies. But I really need the supplies because there's only one more other place on the board I can get a supply. And if I don't get a supply, I can't do X, Y, Z. What are you going to do? Well, you stay and get the supplies, and then 2 people go ahead and get both guns. You're like, man, great, I got supplies, but I don't got any guns. So it's about jumping ahead and getting what you want, but not jumping ahead too far that you give up too much. But you better have a singular plan of attack in this game. You better know exactly what you need, get it, and then implement your plan as perfectly as you can, right? So that's what you're doing in this. And if you see somebody trying to implement the same plan as you are on the same turn, oh man, it's on. Especially if they start beating you. You may just jump ahead and be like, well, I'm going to get this, screw them, and then they go, dink, dink, ah! Love that about Francis Drake. That after you get your supplies, you're actually going to go out and use those supplies to go treasure hunting and fight ship-to-ship battle and explore new worlds. And it's so much fun. It all comes together. You need everything and lots of it, but you can't. You get a little bit of something. What am I going to do with this little bit of something? And it's so much fun. And there's like 4 areas you can go out to. You need a certain amount of supplies to get to the area. And if you're the only one that can go out here, you've got a huge advantage. You're just cleaning up. And everybody else fight for what's in here. Or maybe you think what's in there. So what you're going to have in the second part is these little chests. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a blank one. There's some ghost ones you can get, whatever. And you put them out. Because things are activated in 1, 2, 3, 4 order. So you might put something at 1 just to steal it from them and get up. This is a wonderful game. I probably did a bad job of explaining it all. Francis Drake is so much fun. It's not a go-to game for me, but every time I play, I have a good time. I've yet to play with anybody like, everybody's like, man, that's a great game. And I'm so excited. I got the expansions. I haven't put them on the table yet. I'm excited about doing that. Francis Drake. Well, that's going to conclude our list for today. That gets us up to 31. Next time, we'll start the top 30 games of all time. Once again, please subscribe to the channel. It's just a little click of a button down below. It really helps things out. We're trying to get to 700 so we can get a copy away of Manhattan Project Chain Reaction Deluxe Edition. Brand new and shrink. We all want a copy of that, right? Thanks for watching a lot. It really means a lot when you comment below or you subscribe to the channel or you just watch the video. Thanks for tagging along on this trip of mine through the top 100 games of all time.